Crazy After All These Beers is brought to you by our friends at Chilled Nightlife and Entertainment Magazine. Eat, drink, and be merry at chilledmagazine.com. And by Porta-Pong, the world's #1 best-selling inflatable floating beer pong table at portapong.com.
Hey everyone, Gary Monterosa. Welcome to this week's edition of Still Crazy After All These Beers. I'm in Philadelphia, and this handsome chap to my left is Mr. Tom Kehoe of Yards Brewing. Tom, how you doing, man?
Great, Gary. How are you?
Doing well. Now, Tom, we're going to ask you about this. Now, the brewery was in transition for a while.
Yes.
It was here for a while, then it wasn't here. Tell all of our Yards fans what was going on.
Well, we were moving from our old location to a new location. We had a lot of construction to do, a lot of big building going on, and basically we took longer than we expected. Everything in Philly takes longer than you expect. So we brewed the beer temporarily at the line. They did a wonderful job, and now we're brewing it here back in Philly on Delaware Avenue. We have twice the capacity we had before, and we're absolutely loving the fact that we're having a great time brewing.
Who would ever think, now this is year 2 of Philly Beer Week, who would ever think it would have exploded as it has?
It's crazy. I mean, but you know what? It's showing what we're doing is really appreciated. Making these interesting beers and making beer fun is what Philly Beer Week's all about. We got a lot of fun events, and it's going to be neat.
Well, you talk about an interesting beer. What is this I'm drinking here?
This is a Polish smoked wheat beer.
Smoked wheat beer.
Yeah, and we're doing a smoked beer event. So we brewed this just for Philly Beer Week, and we brewed it with Iron Hill. And we did it at their facility so we could do a small batch, and they brewed all the beer there. It was turned out terrific. And since it's a smoked beer event, we figure, hey, it's going to be fun. Let's have fun with this.
So who came up with the concept of this beer? Did that originate from Yards?
This is originally an old Polish beer that probably hasn't been done commercially for hundreds of years. And we decided, let's take a chance and see what it'll taste like.
I've had several smoked beers in my life. I love them. They're not things that you can drink a bunch of.
Right.
They're a nice accompaniment. And I'm thinking, maybe a grill dish. Maybe you mentioned fish also as being a nice thing.
Yeah. I mean, just, some people would love smoking fish, but this has the body that kind of goes with a fish dish. So I'm really psyched about it.
So what's the alcohol content of this? I'm going to say it's on the light side, right?
Yeah, it is. It's only about 5%. And, it's got a lot of wheat in it. So it's got, all those proteins you can't see through the glass. So that's great.
It's a healthy drink is what it is, right?
It definitely is.
So what do we have planned for Yards as we move farther into 2009?
Just a little bit more expansion. We're going to be, moving into markets that we haven't been to.
Such as?
In over 2 years, just like back into Maryland, back into New Jersey, out to Pittsburgh. So.
But there's continued growth for Yards then?
Yes, there definitely is, and we're really psyched about it.
Now, I understand we're not going to be capturing this on camera. I understand you're going to be doing a little wrestling. Is that true?
Yep, we have, that's what I said. The great thing about it is Philly Beer Week is going to be a lot of fun. I am donning a sumo suit and wrestling sumo style with one of the bar owners down there in the Franklintown part of Philadelphia, and it's a little bit of a grudge match, and we got a wager.
I know some of those guys. They don't stand a chance against you.
No, he doesn't.
Are you going to have like a ring manager and come in and do a whole WWE thing?
That's his advantage. The ref is actually his partner in the bar. But we figured there's no better ref than a Canadian.
So it's all. And you heard it here first. I'll tell you that right now.
So, just like a hockey ref.
Well, I guess then.
Don't see anything.
I guess your next career is WWE.
Maybe.
And I think on that note, we'll wrap it up and enjoy the rest of this beer.
Cheers.
Cheers to you, Tom Kehoe.
Good to see you guys.
And Yards Brewing. I'm with Rob Schimony from a company called Yuengling Brewery over in Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
Pottsville, Pennsylvania, you got it.
And it's so curious. We were talking about this right before we started filming. Yuengling has such name recognition, and you got a tremendous volume of beer out there as well.
Thank you. Yeah, we do about 1.8 million barrels, which is our volume that we sold last year. And this year we introduced our Bock beer. It's our first seasonal in almost 40 years.
And I got to tell you, this is the first time, obviously, I've tried it. And I guess are you kind of debuting this here tonight?
Yes, we just rolled the Bock beer out last week. It's our first run, as I said, in over 40 years. We used to make Yuengling Bock back after Prohibition up until about 1970. And during that time, as the country got into the 60s, the 70s, people started drinking less flavorful beers, and that style of beer went by the wayside. So over the last few years, as consumers are looking for more variety, more choice, more flavor, we decided to bring our Bock recipe out of the archives, and we just produced it last week. It's only available for a limited time. We'll have it in the market for the month of March and April, and then it'll go away until next year. But the early response has been tremendous. We picked up over 100 draft accounts in the Philadelphia market, and the response from consumers here at the festival has been tremendous.
Now, you said is this a recipe that originally existed 40 years ago?
It is not. We used to make Bock beer up until 1970. We made a few alterations in the recipe. The mellow malts are a different twist on the Bock, and also the dry hopping is also a different twist on it. So the foundation of the recipe is similar, but we made a few changes to make it a little more flavorful for today's consumer.
And the interesting thing, as we talked about earlier, is that there are so many people who think Yuengling is available nationally. Obviously, it's not. We'll go over distribution, but as you mentioned earlier too as well, before we started filming, there are people who wish they could get it all over the country.
That's true. We just opened up Georgia. We're in the process of rolling out Yuengling products in Georgia, but currently we're available from New York to Florida on the eastern seaboard. So once we finish Georgia up later on this year, we'll have linked up all the states from New York to Florida.
Going back a few years ago, and I think it still is, but the demand for the black and tan was absolutely through the roof. How did you guys deal with that?
We actually, back then we only had one brewery, the original brewery in Pottsville, which, by the way, is still open. It's an awesome tour. If you ever get a chance to come to Pottsville, we'd love to have you up for a tour. But back then, the Black and Tan was the brand that in the late 80s, early 1990s, Dick Yuengling reintroduced that product to the public, and it was right around the time when crafts were beginning to explode and more flavorful beers were coming into vogue with the consumer, and we couldn't make enough beer. Our Black and Tan brand, you used to be able to find that on tap just about everywhere, and it was one of the first brands for the brewery that really took off in the early 90s, and that's really was the start of the resurgence and the revitalization of the Yuengling Brewery. After that, we reintroduced the lager brand, and the lager brand has since been built even more powerful than the Black and Tan brand, and caused us to open a brewery down in Tampa and a new brewery in Pottsville to handle demand.
I just think the company has done a remarkable job of marketing and positioning themselves.
Well, that's
good people. You got some good people.
Yeah, we've got great people in marketing, great people in sales. The beginnings of the whole turnaround was when Dick Yuengling took the brewery over from his father in the mid-1980s. He started to see that there was that more flavorful consumer out there. We introduced the Black and Tan and a few other new brands, and they're the brands that have carried the brewery today to where we're at. But we've got a great marketing guy that Dave Casanelli, he put the brands in long neck bottles, redid our labels, did all the things that you've got to do packaging wise to give yourself an upscale look, and you combine that with a great product and you've got a winner.
And of course, one of the major trivia questions you always hear is about the age of the brewery, how long the brewery's been in existence.
This year is our 180th anniversary. So we were founded in 1829. Dick Yuengling is the fifth generation of Yuenglings to own and operate the company. He's got 4 daughters that are back working at the brewery right now. And this year's our 180th anniversary. So this year is a year-long celebration of hitting a milestone.
Well, talk about a celebration. I'm enjoying this Bock. This is really a world-class beer, a real winner from Yuengling.
Well, cheers.
Cheers to you. And I got to tell you, thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Still Crazy After All These Beers with Yuengling Beer.
Thank you for the invite, Gary.
Gary Monroe. That's easy for me to say.